Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are diving into a genuinely fascinating document, the Wolfë investor deck. We're going to break down the highly precise, completely sovereign architecture behind this project and look at how it tackles what is easily one of the most critical vulnerabilities in our current tech landscape.
Right off the bat, let's look at this declarative quote from builder-operator ST. It perfectly sets the tone for the high-agency framework we are about to unpack. ST says they didn't just see the failure, they used it as a data lab to architect the cure. Think about that for a second. It's not just about pointing out a problem in the market. It's about treating that failure as raw data to engineer a structural, definitive solution.
So here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with the AI trust bottleneck, then move into architecting the cure, dive deep into the S MØS Engine assembly, explore IP as live inventory, check out execution and institutional traction, and wrap up with sovereign capital and posture. All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the AI trust bottleneck. The core issue we're dealing with here is the AI maturity gap. Let's be real. Right now, autonomous agents are moving real value and real intellectual property at absolute machine speed. But the problem for all of us? Our traditional provenance and compliance systems are completely broken. They literally cannot keep up. This gap between what AI can do and how we actually hold it accountable is widening every single day. If things are moving at machine speed, you absolutely need machine-grade trust. And that leads us to the million-dollar question. Why aren't massive institutions just diving headfirst into Web3 and AI? Well, the trust layer is the ultimate bottleneck. Unlocking all that raw agentic power on high-throughput networks like Solana is practically meaningless for large institutions without a central choke point. They absolutely require a dedicated trust layer, what Wolfë calls the Wolfë bridge, to guarantee capital confidence before they deploy any real assets. Moving right along to Section 2, architecting the cure. The absolute key point Stoughton makes here is a total rejection of reactive off-chain compliance. Traditional governance, risk, and compliance, or GRC, is inherently backward-looking, right? It's like finding a leak after your whole basement is already flooded. To fix this, Stoughton engineered a proactive, sovereign architecture that acts as a true systemic cure. It's all about designing and protecting a structure that stops the leak before it ever becomes a disaster in the first place. Which brings us to Section 3. The S MØS Engine assembly. Okay, so let's look at the S MØS Engine itself. This functions as an explicit on-chain GRC and IP compliance layer built directly on Solana. And the way it does this is super clever. It uses Token 2022 metadata pointers combined with transfer hooks. We're not just talking about theoretical safety here. This is real-time enforcement of IP rights at the protocol level, pumping out court-ready, immutable audit trails. Now, to make sure we really grasp the gravity of this and why it's a massive deal for digital asset security, we need to quickly define transfer hooks. Basically, this is a Solana feature that lets developers write custom logic that literally must be executed whenever a token is transferred. So compliance isn't just an afterthought or some empty promise buried in off-chain terms of service. No, it is brutally and immutably enforced by the network itself at the exact millisecond a transaction tries to go through. Think of it like a true factory assembly line. First, the creative or legal asset is created. Second, it's bound tightly to Token 2022 metadata. Third, the transfer hook steps in and performs rigorous policy checks. And finally, the on-chain action happens. It's either automatically allowed, restricted, or completely blocked, based entirely on that specific logic. What this pipeline guarantees is that every single on-chain action automatically generates a simultaneous, immutable audit trail. This right here is the ultimate bridge to the off-chain world. It creates this seamless handoff to external legal systems, regulators, and enterprise GRC software. It's on-chain trust, resulting in undeniable off-chain impact. And according to the deck, this creates a massive competitive moat. Unlike competitors who rely on reactive, off-chain band-aids or purely speculative NFTs with zero real-world enforcement, Wolfë is playing a completely different game. They are competing on pure protocol-level enforcement, not hype or speed. At the end of the day, they are competing on whether the record will actually hold up in a court of law when it really matters. All right, on to Section 4, IP as live inventory.
Imagine being able to turn a static JPEG into a highly liquid financial asset. Using a 235-piece art series as a proof of concept, this on-chain collateral pipeline turns static creative output into live, verifiable inventory. By routing IP right through this system, it immediately gets verified ownership, it becomes liquid collateral, and it unlocks entirely new capital efficiency for creators and brands. It's not just brand content anymore. It is a verifiable liquid asset.
Let's move to Section 5, Execution and Institutional Traction. What's really wild here is that this is a fully in-house architecture. Zero external agency dependency whatsoever. That is a massive display of technical sovereignty. And this high-intensity engineering has already locked in some serious institutional engagement. They've logged technical traction with Google Cloud customer engineers, and they're actively going after certification with NCCDC Cohort 30. The stack is fully operational, and as they point out, the books are clean.
Looking at their strategic execution roadmap, you can clearly see this extreme, measurable focus. They are moving sequentially and very deliberately, going from deep technical syncs and locking in their patent strategy straight into high-level institutional introductions in Chicago, which then paves the way for upcoming banking conversations with Wintrust. They are building, protecting, and scaling to create actual lasting value. Finally, we reach Section 6, Sovereign Capital and Posture. State operates with absolute high agency, and their approach is honestly super unorthodox for this space. They are explicitly not optimizing for the fastest capital raise. Instead, they say they are only optimizing for capital that strengthens the trust layer, all while keeping total ownership of the stack and the terms. Their ethos is loud and clear. We own the stack. We own the equity. We decide the terms.
100%. The founder literally retains 100% equity in a completely debt-free and tax-aligned entity. Let me tell you, in the world of high-tech, protocol-level infrastructure plays, bootstrapping your way to this level of operational readiness without diluting your ownership, that is an exceptionally rare and incredibly powerful strategic posture. And that sovereign posture is driven by a surprisingly lean cost-basis balance sheet of just $146,250. Because they own the stack and the future, this highly efficient structure yields an internal strategic valuation of $2.28 million for this sovereign IP and platform architecture. It is a massive testament to choosing capital efficiency over absolute bloat. This leads perfectly into their business model. Their primary focus is high-value, recurring enterprise and institutional licensing of the SAMO compliance layer. They are not out here chasing fleeting retail volume. They're providing serious on-chain collateral services and audit infrastructure. Ultimately, as they so perfectly summarize, they are selling certainty, not attention.
So this brings us to the ultimate thesis of Wolfë. They aren't trying to win today's narrative cycle. They're building for the day the narrative cycle ends. I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. When autonomous AI agents inevitably create massive systemic liability at scale, who is going to be the one holding the irrefutable on-chain receipts? Wolfë is betting everything that they will. Thanks for joining me on this explainer.